What's up, everybody? Football is back. I'm Brian Jester, co-founder here at Occupy Fantasy, $1 million single game winner back on DraftKings in 2019. And we're going to be back doing these videos every Monday and Thursday. So tonight, NFL DFS picks for the single game showdown slate on FanDuel and DraftKings between the Buccaneers and the Cowboys. We'll be providing picks, lineup advice, tips in this about 10-minute video just to give you a high level overview of the slate. If you like these videos, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give us the thumbs up, and if you have any questions about the slate, hop in the comments below, or hop in our Discord channel, which you can do by clicking the join button right below this video. So, really quick video, high-level overview between the Bucs and the Cowboys, just to give you a quick rundown on different contest types, injury news, and some of the top plays that we're thinking about. So let's get started. And we'll start on DraftKings, and we'll start with low-risk contests. If you've read our NFL DFS strategy guide for showdown contests, you know that one of the goals of low-risk contests is to maximize our floor and try to lock up all of the scoring on the slate. What does that mean? So that means we want to play both quarterbacks in the game because we want to get all the passing touchdowns. We also want to try to get both running backs, one from each team, into our lineup because that generally means we'll get most of the rushing touchdowns. However, tonight it's not that simple. On the Dallas side, yes, Ezekiel Elliott's likely going to get all of the Dallas rushing touchdowns. But on the Tampa Bay side, we have Ronald Jones, we have Leonard Fournette, now have Gio Bernard, which throws a wrench into things. So we have to think about lineup construction a little bit differently for low risk contests tonight. And if we start on DraftKings, it's very easy because the pricing is a little softer in the opening slate. It came out a little earlier, so there are some underpriced players that allow us to fit most of the studs into our lineup. So because Tampa Bay has a higher team total, they are the home favorite. Tom Brady on both sites is the captain MVP you want to put into your low risk lineups first. So if you start with Tom Brady, you start with Dak. That gets you both quarterbacks. Start with Zeke. Now you have all the scoring locked up on Dallas' side. Tampa Bay, you have all the passing scores with Tom Brady. Now there's a couple different ways you can go here. If we get word that one of the running backs on Tampa Bay side pregame is going to be the lead back and get most of the work, if it's Ronald Jones or Leonard Fournette, then we can put those guys into our lineup. But the real player here that's underpriced and will be very popular, especially for smaller contests and low-risk contests, is Giovanni Bernard. And if we scroll down, keep scrolling, Giovanni Bernard is $2,000. And he was brought in specifically to play this third down passing back role. If you looked at his usage in the preseason, he played third downs. He played with Tom Brady when the starters were in the game. And as a result, at 2K, the way I like to think about this particular setup is imagine if this was 2 years ago and Brady was on the Patriots and it was a Patriots slate and James White was priced at $2,000. Because it's a very similar setup, right? The Patriots run their 3-4 headed backfield, but we know James White's going to get the passing down work. And that's how we feel about Giovanni Bernard tonight. And at $2,000 is an absolute steal in most contest types. And because he's only 2K, we put him in there, and we get our high floor players around him, that gives $5,600 left per player. Now, there's different ways we can go, and you should read our daily plug for more advice on how to finish out this lineup. But this should be the basis of your low-risk lineups tonight. It's 50-50s, double-ups, head-to-heads. This is a very good start to get you ahead of half of the field. If we go over to FanDuel now, as always, FanDuel is a little more difficult to build low-risk lineups just because of the pricing and because the running backs generally are priced up a little higher as well as the quarterbacks. So if we tried to do this, go with the same approach as on DraftKings, Brady, MVP, Dak, Zeke, now we only have $72.50 per player. And that's not a ton. Most of the guys priced below there are situational role players, may not play much. So that's we wouldn't recommend really playing low-risk contests tonight on FanDuel just because of this dynamic. FanDuel low-risk is very tough, 50-50s, head-to-heads, double-ups again. Very tough, usually. There are some slates where we get an underpriced player, then we can hammer low-risk contests. Tonight is not that slate. However, if you can find contests with easy opponents, there's two ways to go about it. You can go this way and fit in two players in that 7K range that you like that should see the field a decent amount. Or, and I think it's a little riskier, but it gives you a more balanced lineup, is to avoid Zeke because he is 14K going against at least last year, the toughest rush defense in the league, the last couple of years under Todd Bowles, and they brought all their players back, so no reason to see why that would change. If you ignore Zeke, now you have $9,500 left per player. You can get a kicker in there, a high floor kicker, get some of these receivers in there that have high ceilings. So this is probably the preferred approach, even though it's a little riskier leaving Zeke out. It all depends on the type of lineup you like to build, and it depends if you can get the right types of opponents in your low-risk contests. All right, let's go back to DraftKings. Let's think about high-risk contests, GPPs, satellites, leagues, whatever it may be. As we've seen in the past, if you read our showdown guide again, you know that quarterbacks, the field plays them a little bit more than they should based on how likely they are to end up as the optimal captain. And especially on a slate like tonight where we have so many different receivers who can end up in the optimal lineup, at the optimal captain, score the most points on the slate, right? If we look at, let's go back to FanDuel because I want to show the game logs really quickly. If you look at Mike Evans, game log, 35-point game against Detroit. I'm just showing you the upside of these receivers and how they can easily be the optimal captain and MVP. Chris Godwin, a 27-point game. Amari Cooper, a 20-point game, 27-point game. Let's go down. Let's not forget about CeeDee Lamb. Multiple 20-point games last year, and majority of those weren't even with Dak Prescott. And even if you go down to the number 3 receivers, Michael Gallup, a 27-point game in week 2 last year. Antonio Brown, 31-point game. Had the touchdown in the Super Bowl as well. All 6 of these receivers can score the most points on the slate if they get 100 yards in a touchdown or they catch multiple touchdowns and it's a lower scoring game, whatever it may be. So for high-risk contests, that's probably the approach you want to go with tonight. Play one of the receivers, one of those 6 receivers at your MVP or captain spot for, again, leagues, satellites, GPPs. Now, if you do that, you want to pair them up with their quarterback. If it's a large field contest, you may be paired up with the opposite quarterback for a little bit of differentiation. But those 6 guys should be the main focus for your captains in those large field contests. And if you're on FanDuel, again, DraftKings, we talked about the quarterbacks being optimal captains. They're even more likely to be optimal MVPs on FanDuel because the scoring, the 5 roster spots, the lack of a salary multiplier. So it's more okay to play quarterback MVPs here. If you have tickets or you're playing smaller contests, it's probably preferred just to play the quarterback MVPs. And if you do that, you play Dak or you play Brady, who are going to be popular. You want to pair them with at least 2 of their pass catchers. So if you play Brady, at least 2 of his receivers, his tight ends included. Now, if you're playing the really large GPP, we talked about this in our premium podcast with Colin Drew of Daily Roto, which is posted in our members dashboard. It's also going to be linked in the daily plug today. We talked about if you're playing the largest contest on FanDuel, one of the best ways if you're playing a quarterback MVP to get different to where not a lot of people will have your lineup is to also include at least one of these, I call them trash players, but these punt plays that don't see a lot of time on the field, but also not a lot of ownership. So I'm talking about guys like Cameron Brate, who could catch a touchdown at 6K, O.J. Howard, who could catch a touchdown at 6,500, Scotty Miller, who's going to see 10 to 20 snaps probably tonight at 7K. Those types of players. On Dallas' side, we have some of the backup receivers. We have both their tight ends who should go low owned. Again, that's reserved for the largest contest only. All right, that'll do it for this video. Hope you enjoyed and learned something. Again, subscribe to the channel because we're doing videos pretty much every single day of the week here on YouTube for the NFL season. So click that subscribe button below the video. Give us a thumbs up if you like the NFL content, you like these types of videos and want us to continue to create more. If you have questions, comment on the video below. We'll get back to you. More likely, hop on our Discord channel. Chat with other members, Occupy Fantasy staff about all sports. You can get your questions answered there as well. OccupyFantasy.com/Discord with instructions on how to join. All right. After watching this, read our daily plug. All the links to our content is in the description below. So check it out. Again, we'll be back every Thursday and every Monday for these showdown videos. Saturday live stream, we will have Q&A for the main slate. And then every Tuesday night, we did one in this past week for week 0, ahead of week 1, the $1 Million Mission, where we discuss high-level NFL DFS analysis. So again, make sure you subscribe, get access to all this content. So Brian Jester, Occupy Fantasy, at Brian Jester FF on Twitter, at Occupy Fantasy on Twitter. Good luck tonight.